What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Or welcome if it's your first time here. Guys, we hear a lot of talk in the prepper community about prepper groups, forming a MAG or mutual assistance group. And while having a MAG is a great thing to have, you can offer support, you can share labor, you can share skills, you can learn things from other people. There's really no downside if that MAG is tight knit and you live within an hour's drive of each other and have a pre-designated place to actually go to should the worst happen, and you can train together and work together. There's really no downside. However, most preppers aren't going to actually have a prepper group. It's difficult enough to find people in your local community that are of like mind, much less to find a group and join that group in your community. Preppers by nature are kind of they don't really trust a lot of outsiders with their information, and forming a group, it's going to be hard to form a group because it's hard to find like-minded people. It's possible, it's been done, people have been successful, and if you can, that is great. It definitely increases your chances of survival. However, the fact is, most preppers are going to be on their own, or a lone wolf prepper, or at the most, it's going to be a small family unit, a man, his wife, and a couple of kids. And that's going to be the extent of your prepper group. Your community might actually form together should the worst happen and form a mutual protection group to protect the community. It all depends on where you are, depending on your neighbors and things like that. But keeping that in mind, that it's hard to actually find a group to join, or it's actually hard to form a group yourself and find people to join your group, I decided to make a video today to give some pointers for lone wolf preppers. Because like I said, the reality is, even though having a group is a great thing, the reality is most preppers aren't going to have a group. Most preppers are going to be lone wolf preppers or have their small family unit, and that's going to be the extent of their group. So I decided to make a video today to give a few tips that should help those lone wolf preppers or those small family units to better increase their security and better to increase their survivability should the worst actually happen. The first tip I have today is get a drone. Drones, you can get cheap drones, but I suggest you get a better quality drone. You can spend $600, $700, $800 on a drone, even $3,000, $4,000 on a drone. But the more the more you spend to purchase that drone, the better that drone will actually be. And I found during my research, I personally don't have a drone myself right now. I'm looking to get one, but I've been researching drones online, and from what I can tell, the best drones that's under $1,000 will be around $600, $700. The cheapest ones you can get that are actually good quality drones with good ratings. But if you have a drone, you can, if you hear something out in your area and you need to see what's going on and you're a lone wolf, you don't want to try to go out there and try to see what's going on because you could get ambushed, things could happen, and you could just waste energy going out because it might not be nothing to worry about. However, if you have a good quality drone, you can fly that drone up and take that drone out and look around and see from a bird's eye view, what's going on. You can see if what you're hearing is actually a threat, if people's coming in. You can get a bird's eye view to see how many they are, see how well armed they are. A drone would be a great thing, but be sure to get some extra batteries and figure out how to charge that thing to keep it going during a long-term grid down situation. And guys, number 2 on this list is to get a good watchdog, preferably 2. The dogs don't have to actually be attack dogs. They don't have to actually bite. But they do need to be alert, and they do need to bark if someone shows up on your property. Anything that shows up, vehicle, person, anything that shows up, in their location where they consider their territory, that dogs need to actually bark to alert you to someone on your property or someone approaching. Dogs can hear better than we can, they can see better than we can, they can smell, they have really great senses to be able to help protect your property. And if you're a lone wolf prepper, or a small family unit, that is great because where you don't have the manpower to actually be out everywhere on your property and have different guard stations set up, those dogs can be patrolling your property and can actually give you a good warning to let you know that someone is on your property. The same thing, like I said, with the drone. You can fly that up. If you hear the dogs go off and they run off, say down towards the south part of your property. You can take your drone, fly that drone up, and fly that drone to where you saw those dogs head off to. And you can fly that drone and get a bird's eye view of what's actually going on, to see what the threat actually is. These things actually will work in together to definitely increase your security, especially if you're a lone wolf prepper. These things are actually good, if you have a prepper group. But if you are a lone wolf or a small family unit without the manpower to actually patrol, to guard different locations and things, having drones and dogs is definitely recommended. And guys, next on this list is alarms and early warning devices. The same with, the dogs is an early warning device. You can take the drone up and see what's going on. It's also a good idea to have alarms. You can get something like the Dakota alarm. You can set that up different locations, and someone passes by that, it will send a signal back to your home base station so that alert zone 1, alert zone 2, alert zone 3, alert zone 4, let you know where the intrusion is coming from. And having something like that set up will give you early warning. Set it up at the most likely avenues of approach, set those up, and someone crosses by in that area, you'll get a warning at your home. You can be ready to defend yourself if need be. You can send that drone up to see what's going on. Having any type of early warning devices is definitely a plus. And guys, you can also get different types of tripwire type devices. You come through, you trip the wire, and the plunger goes down and fires a .22 caliber blank to let you know someone's around. You can set up different things to give you early warning, and the better you're set up with your early warning devices, the more secure you'll be. Because, if you're a lone wolf, you have to sleep, you have to rest, and you can't be on duty all the time. However, if you have, alarms set up, early warning devices set up, if you have dogs out on your property patrolling your property, then, you can sleep a little bit more sound without having to worry as much. And you have to sleep no matter what. You have to eventually sleep. And so security, if you're a lone wolf prepper or a small family group, security should be your actually number one priority to take care of. And guys, the next thing I recommend is a good security camera system. You can get these wireless security cameras and set those up around your property, and as long as you have power, it can be battery power, it can be ran off with solar power. As long as you have power to run those, you can see what's going on around your property. You can get those as 4 cameras, 6 cameras, 8 cameras. You can do a little research on Amazon or go to different Radio Shack. Even I think Walmart has different security camera systems, and do some research and get the best security camera system you can afford with as many cameras as that system will use. Some of them will just use 4, some will use 8 cameras, and I think some will use 6 actually. So get the one that you can afford, has the most cameras and the best. You want 1080p. You don't want 720p. I had those 720p cameras here when I first moved in this house, and daytime those cameras were good. The 720p resolution was great. It worked good. At nighttime, couldn't see crap with those cameras, and so I replaced the whole system with the 1080p type system for 1080p resolution. Now my night vision is also works perfectly now. So if I hear, Rusty, my dog, start barking, and I hear something outside, then I can get up and look at my cameras first to see, what he's barking at or which way he went and what's going on. Again, you can have those cameras at different locations that you personally, as a lone wolf prepper, can't be. There's only so much that one person or a small family can do and patrol and to watch. However, if you have your camera set up and you can watch different locations, different angles, different avenues of approach by yourself, just looking at those cameras. But keep in mind that you need to figure out a way to keep those cameras going even in a grid down type situation. Like I said, you can do that with solar power. And guys, my next recommendation is to actually avoid a fight at all costs. If you are alone, then anytime you fight, most likely you're going to be outnumbered. If 2 people in a group coming to attack you, if you're alone, you're already outnumbered. If you're a small family, 4 people, you don't want to see your children get hurt, or even worse. You don't want to see your husband or your wife. You want to avoid that fight at all cost. And that's another reason early warning devices are definitely recommended, because you can actually see the threat coming and see how massive the threat is before it gets there, so you know whether or not you need to stay and fight or you need to escape and run away and maybe circle back at another time to take your supplies back or take your retreat back. You know, it isn't always cowardly to retreat. If you're outnumbered, if you're outgunned, and you know that you have no other choice, either retreat or die, sometimes retreating, regrouping, and coming back is a whole lot better than trying to stay and fight and dying in the process. So don't be afraid to, don't be so brave that you don't retreat when you should and end up getting yourself and your family killed. So guys, avoid a fight at all cost, and if you can stay hidden, that's great. If no one knows you're there, no one will come looking. No one will come to take your things, to take your supplies. No one will come after you if they don't know that you're there. So guys, next on the list is to actually keep your mouth shut. I did a video about this a couple of 3 months ago where I talked about, I see what the name of that video was, Stop Talking to People About Prepping, I think it was called. And the advice in that video holds true right now. You know, like I said a minute ago, if people don't know you're there, don't know you're prepping, don't know you're stocked up, then they won't come looking for you. And if you're a lone wolf prepper or a family group, you definitely want to keep your operational security at the utmost importance, because you don't want everyone knowing, you know, what you have or where you are, because it's going to be difficult to impossible to actually defend what you have from a large group that's coming to take what you have. So if they don't know you have anything, don't know you're there, they won't come to try to take it. So you won't need to actually try to defend that or to actually leave and retreat and let them have your supplies and gear. So it's best to definitely keep your mouth shut. Like I said in that video a couple of 3 months ago, that if people aren't prepping already, they're not going to be convinced to actually start prepping now. Most people will keep their fingers in their ears, and I want to hear what you have to say. They'll think you're a conspiracy theorist. They'll think you are a kook or something like that. They won't prepare, but they will file that back in their mind that, hey, this guy here was telling me a few months ago that I need to get ready, that he's got some stuff and he's getting ready for what's coming. I didn't do anything, so I still remember this guy telling me that though. So let's get some neighbors together and let's go over there and take what he has. So you're better off, especially if you're a lone wolf and don't have a group to help defend what you have, to definitely keep that mouth shut tight. Tight lips, loose lips sink ships, and that definitely holds true when it comes to prepping, especially for a lone wolf prepper. And guys, next on this list is to get in the best physical condition that you possibly can. You will be doing all the work yourself. You'll be doing all the gardening yourself, all the food preparation yourself, all the hunting yourself, and it's going to take physical activity to get that done. So get in the best physical condition that you possibly can, because it takes more strength to carry an object by yourself than it does to have someone else to help you carry the object. So you need to get in the best physical condition that you possibly can, because it's going to be strenuous activity and you'll be doing it on your own without any help besides maybe just you and your immediate family. And guys, next on this list is to be extremely careful and cautious in your everyday activities. You don't want to get hurt. You don't want to be reckless and get cut. You don't want to be reckless and break an arm or break a leg or something like that. You don't want to have injuries because you're going to be alone. You're going to be by yourself. You're going to take care of yourself. If you break a leg, it's going to be difficult to set that leg and to get everything done that needs to be done, you know, to set that, to splint that, and let that grow back. And while it's growing back, who's going to be doing the chores? Who's going to be out tending the garden? Who's going to be feeding the animals? You know, you need to be very, very careful not to get hurt. Same thing, you know, if you're using a chainsaw, for example, when you're cutting firewood. Using a chainsaw is extremely dangerous. Even people who have used chainsaws all their lives and cut, you know, timber commercially get hurt. They get cut. Things happen. My dad, he was one of the best timber cutters around, and he did timber cutting pretty much all of his life. For probably, I'd say he cut timber off and on mostly on since he was probably about 16 years old. He was cutting pulpwood, and then he started cutting logs, and he worked commercially for logging companies, and he was very, very good at falling trees. I mean, he could fall trees where he wanted to fall to, and he's been cut. He actually was cutting a limb, was over and had pressure, and he just touched that limb with the chainsaw to cut that limb, and the chainsaw actually, the limb kicked it back and cut his bicep in two right here. He also got his calf cut with the chainsaw, and a chainsaw, you know, we call it cut. It doesn't really cut. A chainsaw rips when it goes in the flesh. It will rip that chain in there and rip out pieces of flesh, and it's a mess. And you do that, you know, in a situation where you're alone, where you can't just call 911 and get the ambulance to you before you bleed out. It's going to be the end of you. Be extremely careful at all times. Even if you have a group, be extremely careful at all times, but even more so, you know, if you're a lone wolf prepper, because if you get hurt, you're on your own. Who's going to drag you out and drag you back and clean your wounds up and sew you up if you're alone? Are you going to actually do that yourself? So it's better to be very careful and to use all the safety equipment you can. If you're using a chainsaw, you know you want to have your chaps on, your hearing protection on, your helmet on, your gloves on. You want to be extremely cautious and safe when doing any kind of chore around your property, because you don't want to get hurt. And guys, next on this list is to get any known medical issues that you can taken care of. You know, if you have bad teeth, then you need to go get that taken care of as soon as possible, because you know you don't want to be a lone prepper, gridlock situation, and you can't just go to the dentist and make an appointment and get that pulled out. Or you might be able to go to the dentist, but like it is in a lot of societies that collapse, they have trouble getting medications. They have trouble getting the things that they need to actually, you know, numb that tooth area so you can pull that tooth out to do that dental work. So it's better off to go get that fixed now. You know, if you have bad eyes, you need glasses, then you need to go get a couple of extra pair of glasses just in case your brakes gets lost or something like that. Think of what medical issues you have. Can you correct those issues? You know, can you correct issues you have through, you know, exercise, eating better, stress management, supplementation? There's different things you can do to correct things that's happening to your body. You know, like for example, you know, high blood pressure and heart conditions, things like that, liver conditions. There's things you can do to actually improve those without going to the doctor. I'm not saying not to go to the doctor, I'm not saying that. However, there's things you can do, you know, like for your liver, for example. I think it's milk thistle. That's excellent for the liver. For the heart, hawthorn. Again, this isn't medical advice, but this is just things that I've read, and I've actually tried hawthorn for the heart and blood pressure. Hawthorn, CoQ10, fish oil does wonders for the heart. It does wonders for lowering blood pressure. It also does wonders for some people for actually lowering cholesterol. Again, it depends on the individual, and depends on exactly what is wrong with the individual that's causing these problems, how well these things work, but it's worth a try. But the point is, you can take care of any medical issues that you have now, you know, by going to the doctor and getting any kind of surgery you need done, any type of dental work you need done, or actually correcting any health issues. That's great, because last thing you want is to have those health issues flare up at the worst possible time in a gridlock situation, when you're alone, when you can't just dial 911, you can't just go get dental work done, or you can't just go out and go to the doctor and get treatment. And guys, next on this list is to actually stockpile information. And what I mean by stockpiling information is a good, thought out survival library. You want to have books on different topics. You want to have books on gardening. You want to have books on food preservation. You want to have books on medical, supplementation, hunting, trapping, military tactics, setting up retreat defenses. Look at everything you might need and do some research and look up books that will help you to have the information on hand, because, you know, as a lone wolf prepper or as a small family prepper unit, the knowledge factor is going to be lacking. I mean, no one knows everything. I've been at this for over 25 years actually. I'm 48 years old right now, and I started prepping back when I was probably about 15 or 16 actually. It wasn't really prepping then, it was wilderness survival I was interested in. You know, going out and building shelters, building lean-to shelters, building fires, building traps, building deadfalls, figure fours, different things like that, setting twitch-up snares. And that's what I was interested in then, and just ballooned into prepping for disaster type situations. So I've been in this for a long time, guys, and even I don't know everything. So I have a good survival library I can fall back on. That way, if I'm not sure, you know, about a topic, or if something comes up that I don't know, I can go into my library and look that up. Right now, it's fairly easy to do that by going to YouTube and looking up things, or, you know, going to the internet and doing a search and finding information. But what if the internet goes down? What if you don't have that resource any longer? And it's always best to have, you know, paper copies of information, because the only thing that happens in paper copies is, you know, something happens to your home and they burn or something like that. But let's hope that never happens. But try to get a good survival library on hand and covering different topics. You know, I have 4 books myself out. You can check those out in the links below. My latest book, The Prepper's Guide to Surviving in the World as We Know It, covers a lot of different topics. It covers security, it covers food storage, it covers water, it covers a lot of medical information in that book also. It's a pretty good resource, has good reviews on Amazon. So if you think that will help, you know, you go in here in the description box below, you can click over to Amazon, check that book out, read the reviews of that book. If you haven't bought it already and you think it will help you, then I really appreciate if you buy that book, because I think it's a great start of information, and it goes into great detail, even more detail than what I go into here in these videos here on YouTube. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, get a big old thumbs up. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm Creekmore. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in the next video, hopefully.